And now
Hello,
I
good
can see everyone.
afternoon. Perfect. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this webinar on Artistry in Action, Fighting Corruption Through Art. So firstly, I'd like to inform you that this session will be recorded and it will be posted on our website in the days following the webinar. So you may use the Q&A function to ask questions and we will answer them at the end of the session. So I would like to first give a warm welcome to the session, Dr. Slagiana Tazeva, who is the Dean and Executive Secretary of IACA, who will be giving her welcoming remarks for today's webinar. Dear Dean, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Stephanie. I hope everybody is already on board and had managed to connect. First, warm welcome from my side also to all participants, the group of panelists who will be talking to us about this very innovative way of action against corruption, that is artistic way for action against corruption or addressing corruption through art. It is necessary that we address corruption in different ways. It is not always good to talk only about the laws and institutions and the procedures and the prevention and the fight against corruption, even though that is very, very important. But the most important is to pass the message. How can our society be without corruption? And how will our life be without corruption? What might be better or much better than it is today? So that is why it is very good that the world and the young people are now fostering the new ways of engaging in activism, in addressing the problem of corruption. Sometimes we can see that or hear that we need to change the attitude, the way of thinking, but actually we need to change us for first of all how we act and react in our society, but also to see what else we can do. And especially it is important for the young people to connect, because sometimes we say it is difficult to invite and to connect young people to address and to participate in this discussion for the fight against corruption. So that is why I really appreciate very much, and I will be staying with all of you to enjoy this webinar and also the panel, to listen the panelists. First, allow me to say warm welcome and thank you to Ms. Veronica Haubner from the back. Veronica, you are really inspiring us with all these initiatives to involve art in the fight against corruption, and it is very, very good and welcome. We are glad that we have the opportunity to work and cooperate with BAC and with all these initiatives. But also, I believe for our participants, it will be also enjoyable, not only interesting, to listen. I see that Stephanie will be also sharing some music with us, but also to see how musicians are participating in the fight against corruption. So I want to welcome GM International, and this is all Fair Play group, and also is it Chill Soul or Chill Soul? I don't know, but we will all learn. So it is us, the Anti-Corruption Academy, is the place where we want to share and to explore different ways for addressing corruption, not only the holistic way, that is the main what we are doing through the academic work. Our director for the academic program is here with us. That is always to address corruption through the holistic perspective, and but this is part of the holistic perspective, not only involving law enforcement and lawyers, but also all different layers of the society and aspects. Martin is here with us. I see he's the leader of our collective action program, and this is also another a very important part from our work. And we want to share our experiences, but also to listen to you. That will be our main thing today, to learn a lot from you and to see how we can improve our work through including this type of activities more extensively and more often. So I wish you all a warm welcome and enjoy this webinar, and all the best to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dean. I will just very briefly present our academic programs department. We'll just share the screen. Okay, so yes, good afternoon again, everyone. So my name is Stephanie Beard. I will be briefly presenting the International Anti-Corruption Academy and our Academic Programs Department before we proceed with the webinar. So the International Anti-Corruption Academy is an international organization and institution of post-secondary education, which conducts research and runs various master programs. So IACA has 81 parties consisting of 77 state parties and 4 international organizations. We have over 6,000 alumni from over 168 countries across the world, and we have a strong alumni network. And our work consists of 3 important pillars, which are education, training and technical assistance, and research. So IACA offers 3 master programs and 1 certificate program. We have our flagship program, the Master in Anti-Corruption Studies, which is a master's degree run in both online and hybrid format and focuses on the public sector. Secondly, we have the International Masters in Anti-Corruption Compliance and Collective Action, which is a master's degree run in online and hybrid format too, and focuses on the private sector, compliance and collective action. Third, we have the Master in Anti-Corruption and Compliance program, which is available in the Spanish language. It's run in hybrid format and focuses on anti-corruption and compliance. Lastly, we have our Anti-Corruption Collective Action Certificate, which offers 2 online modules that concentrates on concepts and applied perspectives for preventing and countering corruption through implementing collective action programs. So all programs can be attended whilst continuing a professional employment engagement, as they're run with busy professionals in mind. Our master programs run between 18 months and 2 years and have between 120 and 90 ECTS credits under the internationally recognized Bologna process. So they bring eligibility for a PhD, as well as specializing your skill set and your knowledge to prepare to become an expert in the fight against corruption. The courses provide essential aspects in the anti-corruption field in various elements through using multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary methods. We also have the ACCA certificate, which consists of 30 ECTS credits and runs for 12 months, and applications will open in October 2025 for scholarship applications. So if you have any questions or queries, please feel free to write them in the Q&A box, chat box, or by email to studies@iaca.int. Okay. So next, I would like to give the floor to Mr. Martin Zapata, the Senior Programs Officer in the Academic Programs Department, who will be moderating this webinar. The floor is yours,
Thank you,
Martin.
Stefan. Thank you. Dear participants, it is our pleasure to host this webinar, which addresses a topic that is rarely discussed in the fight against corruption, and yet we believe that is a no less important topic. At IACA, we take a holistic approach to address corruption, address the fight against corruption, as our dean was mentioning. We include criminalization mechanisms to prevent corruption, asset recovery, international cooperation. But within the prevention area, communication and awareness raising plays a crucial role. We believe that art is a powerful tool, not only to convey messages, but to give voice, and a voice that is enriched with expression. Through contemporary history, we can identify works of art that have become a powerful symbol of protest, awareness raising, and solidarity with a cause. For example, and I will ask Stephanie now to share a few images, we can think about, for instance, literary works like 1984 by George Orwell, which exposes government control authoritarianism, manipulation, and corruption. We can also think about songs like Bella Ciao, which became an anthem for resistance against fascism. We can also mention contemporary installations like artists like Teresa Margolles, who denounces the violence, corruption, impunity, and pain caused by drug cartels and government complicity in Mexico. These are just few examples of art's power. Art shines a light on what is hidden or silenced. It communicates messages that connect with emotions and stands the test of time. This is even more relevant in the era of artificial intelligence that we are living now. Now is the time to invest in ways reaching society that machines cannot replicate, through a language that goes beyond the bureaucratic formalities that we are used to, and through mechanisms that truly connect with people's emotions, passions, feelings. On a personal note, I can share that I had a wonderful experience some years ago that shaped my perspective. I was involved in the creative process of theatrical productions and songs against corruption, and I can personally attest the power of art. Today, we have an engaging panel that will explore this topic further, and let me introduce our dear panelists. I will start with Till Soul. Seal is a Nigerian singer and songwriter and activist who blends music with social impact. She collaborates with global organizations addressing corruption and promoting good governance. She is an award-winning singer and a UN SDG Awards performer who works to amplify accountability and change. Welcome, Seal, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
I would also like to welcome Matt Clark, who is the Programs and Marketing Director at GM International, the world's largest youth nonprofit, where he oversees music initiatives, including Fair Play, which is very well known in our sector, the Anti-Corruption Youth Voices, Ethno, Imagine Music XP, and YAM. Over the past 15 years, Fair Play has built a global network of musicians using platforms to fight corruption, partnering with the Transparency International institution to bring their voices to the International Anti-Corruption Conference. Welcome, Matt. Thank you for your time today.
Thanks.
Last but not least, I would like to welcome Veronica Haubner Immervoll, who will present today the Values and Role Models Photography Competition, which is held by the Austrian Anti-Corruption Federal Bureau. Her professional career began as deputy head of the white-collar crime unit at the Austrian Criminal Intelligence Service. She then advanced to the Federal Competition Authority, where she served as the case handler specializing in mergers and cartel cases within the energy and construction sector. She joined the Bureau back in 2014. Thank you for joining us today, Veronica. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
I would like to start with Sil, asking her to share her story and music with us. Sil, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Martin. I have 7 minutes. I'm going to try as much as possible to summarize my journey in 7 minutes. So I'm a singer-songwriter, as you know, but initially my background was in law, and I started off as a young law graduate who I was just looking for opportunities to volunteer in. And so I had gotten a role as a volunteer in a human rights organization. And while I was there, I got the opportunity to witness. So we used to go on electoral observation missions. And I got the opportunity to witness corruption firsthand with the way our electoral processes were run. And it was very disheartening for me. And if I never had that role, if I was never working there, I would probably not have known how bad it was. And so and also, music wasn't something that was present so much in my life, because growing up in the family that I grew up in, I was expected to be a lawyer or a doctor or something. And so at the same time, I was also try not to leave it completely, leave the music thing completely. So I had a guitar, and I just wanted to write something around the experiences that I saw at the time. And so that birthed for me, the first song I ever wrote. It was called Sound the Alarm, and it was my way of, in like expressing my frustration, from the whole experience. And you know how we like to blame the government for everything, and I could see that the problem at that point was fellow citizens. We had people who were selling their votes. We had people who were um, falsifying records so that they could have underage voters. Like we were, like I could see that, like just like people like me were part of the problem. It wasn't just like some people high up there. And so I wanted to like do that wake up call, and then I wrote the song Sound the Alarm and I put it out, and that was how it started. Like the moment I started doing that, it never like it was just it became a thing. So I became like an accidental advocate with through music. It was accidental, but I always I thought that was very purposeful, and I always wanted to do that. And since then I have like released different songs touching on different experiences, and one of them was a song called All You've Got. And at the time I felt like I didn't know enough to educate people, right? I had the passion and I had the music, but I wanted to learn. And so I was part of a project called Voice to Rep, which brings together musicians like myself, and then we put together a body of work. And my song on that body of work was All You've Got. It was pretty much a song about how we all contribute to good governance. And then yeah, so essentially my story is just a story of using what I have to push for what I'm passionate about. And recently my recent release is a song about taking small actions today that impact our future. It's a song about climate change, but generally it's more of how little actions, little drops of water makes a mighty ocean. So whether it's a positive drop you are contributing in society, or a negative drop, you would see the results in the future. So the song is called Echi, which is the song that will be played shortly if Stephanie is queued in. Yeah. Can't hear any audio.
Stephanie, we don't have audio. You can share again, please.
There's still no audio. Is it just me? No audio.
Let's try one more time. Sorry,
I mean,
host.
if it doesn't work one more time, then I'll just talk about it and get going. Yeah,
Let's try one more time, please.
yeah.
Working.
No,
Just share with us, Choma, and I will
so
try
I'll
myself.
just
Okay. Yeah.
yeah. So I'll just talk about the song. The song features some children from the Destiny Trust Foundation, which is a foundation that takes children that are disadvantaged from the streets and then gives them education and better life. And I worked with these children because they inspired me, and I felt they were a good representation of what the future like what it means to bring the future generation along. So for me, what I usually do, typically do with my music, is storytelling, because I believe that some of the concepts, like when we talk about corruption, social justice, they sound very high up there for the average human, average individual. And so my role as an artist and a creative is to break down these concepts in the most easiest way to comprehend. And that's practically what I do with my music. Yeah, that's the summary of it. Yeah.
We'll try after Matt to play it again.
Yeah.
Silly, if
Sure.
you don't mind.
It's okay.
And thank you, Silly, and sorry about that. It's very
There's no
inspiring
problem.
what you are sharing with us, that you took what you had at hand, which is your music and your voice. And I think this is inspiring for our audience. And also talking about taking action, because you were also exposed not only to the corruption of the government, but also about the lack of initiative from people. And I think
Yeah.
this is inspiring that you want to change the mindsets not only towards the government, but also about ourselves.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sil. I would like now to give the floor to Matt. Matt, to share some of your stories, some of the work that you are doing. You also collaborated with Sil, and tell us a bit about the work that Fair Play is doing, Matt. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks so much. Thanks to IACA for having us here. Thanks to the Dean and the Director for being here. Thanks to Sil and Veronica as co-panelists. My name's Matt. I'm Programs and Marketing Director at JM International, Jeunesse Musicale International, which, as Martin already mentioned, it's the world's largest youth music organization. I'm originally from South Africa. I grew up in the first multiracial generation in South Africa. After the fall of apartheid in 1991, 1994. And so for me in my life, music has played a really crucial role because we grew up in a very divided society. When I was young, a lot of preconceptions, a lot of bad ideas passed down from generation to generation. And music for me when I was young was a way to understand other people who I hadn't maybe had a lot of contact with before, to share ideas. And music at that time in the late 90s, early 2000s was one of the only things that was really bringing people together. And as Sil mentioned already, music is one of the best mediums for sharing stories. And through shared stories, we learn about shared experiences, we grow together. So for me, growing up in South Africa in the kind of end of a difficult time, beginning of another difficult time, it was always a way to connect, to grow, to question what were my values, where have I come from, where have other people come from. So I got involved in music at a really young age. I'm not a great musician myself. I leave that to Sil and the others who who are far better. But I've always been playing a little bit of music, and I had a lot of friends who are really great musicians. So growing up in South Africa, maybe others can relate. If you don't make something happen, it doesn't happen. So if you don't make the concert yourself, maybe there is no concert. So I grew up in this situation, and I started to organize a lot of music events when I was young, that brought people together across racial divides, across cultural, religious divides. And through this, I saw the power of music to affect social change. That music, it's of course for enjoyment, it's music for the soul, but music has a very strong role in social change. It's not just for fun, although the fun is great. So from there, when I moved to Belgium in 2007, I joined Jeunesse Musicale International, initially as an intern, because for me, what the organization was doing on a global scale, it very much reflected my values. And in 2009, I believe, we were contacted initially by the World Bank Institute, who had a call, and they were looking exactly what the Dean was talking about in our opening speech. How do we connect young people with issues that are maybe academic or political issues that they are not dealing with on a day-to-day, especially not in the way that is being talked about in the halls of power, in the halls of academia. So how do we connect young people with these issues? So we thought, okay, we are quite used to using music in various different social contexts. We hadn't, up until that point, worked directly on anti-corruption and good governance issues, though we've been using music for social change and music to make a difference in the lives of young people since 1945, the organization being established during the occupation in Belgium in the 40s. So there has always been the social role within Jeunesse Musicale, but our connection with anti-corruption topics came in 2009, and then in 2010 when we created the very first edition of Fair Play, at that time together with the World Bank Institute and the Global Youth Anti-Corruption Network. That collaboration went really well, and we had a lot of applications from all around the world, young people creating a bunch of fantastic songs on the themes of corruption. And that continued up until about 2013, which was an interesting year for the program, because at that year, the World Bank Institute was restructured, and we kind of lost them as a partner just because that entity within the World Bank that was supporting us no longer existed. But at that moment, we had been connected with Transparency International and the IACC for Fair Play in Brazil. So we had a fantastic edition of Fair Play in Brazil. Maybe some of you might have even been there. And this began the partnership for fair play between JMI and Transparency International, which built on the work that we had done with the World Bank Institute and with GIAC, and which continues until this day. So now Fair Play, it's run as a biannual music competition where we look for young artists under 35 years old who are using their voice, their stories to address issues around corruption. We bring them then the winning bands every year of our call, of our competition, to the IACC, where they connect with previous ambassadors, they connect with the global anti-corruption community, and of course, some fantastic performances at the IACC. And the last one we did was last year in Vilnius in Lithuania, and we had some fantastic performances, including a lovely performance by Sil, who sang Sound the Alarm, which was her winning song within Fair Play. So a lot of great memories, a lot of great connections. It's now been 15 years. There's been a lot of things have happened in between, but we've only been strengthened in our conviction that there is more and more need for programs like Fair Play. There are also other great initiatives that use the power of music. A few lessons we've learned is that it's really important. I liked what Sil said when she said she became an accidental advocate. She's kind of doing accidental activism. This we find is works the best with young people. We've done a lot of different experiments within the anti-corruption space on messaging, on these kind of things. But young people are really looking for authenticity. They're looking for true stories. They're not looking for people who are just singing that corruption is bad, corruption is bad. This is what we've seen. Generally, institutions love these kind of initiatives, but they don't reach the people. So for us, we are always focusing on how can we create the biggest impact, the biggest outreach amongst people, specifically young people being our target. And there we found that the most important thing we can do is empower our musicians to be musicians, to educate them separately around anti-corruption efforts, around what is happening, but not to direct their artistic efforts. We let those come from themselves. They are telling stories of their communities. They are doing those things naturally. For us, it's to strengthen that, to give them platforms to present their work, to collaborate, to meet other like-minded artists. And through this, we've grown now a network of almost 30 international Fair Play ambassadors who are continually connected to the project. And we've had a wide variety of different initiatives from festivals in India throughout the country for hundreds of thousands of people, to anti-corruption school initiatives, writing songs with school children in Nigeria, in Liberia, all over the place. So there is continually new initiatives happening through that network, plus, of course, the IACC, the big Fair Play event that we do every 2 years. So it's been a great journey. We've also connected with other art forms now. We often are working together with Films for Transparency, connecting documentary making, filmmaking, these kind of things. And of course, always looking to boost the voice that we're doing through collaborating with bigger artists. We've collaborated with Burna Boy, with Natalie Rise, with Blitz the Ambassador, with Rakim, with Mos Def. So a lot of bigger artists who also support the cause. And in this way, we create a global campaign that hopes to unite young people, to educate young people and inspire them that this is a fight that they can take on. It's a fight for the people, by the people. And there are also institutions that they can get connected to that are involved with on a civil society level, on a political level, in case they want to make a change. So we do try and drive them towards action at some point of their journey if they get to that place. But just to inspire them that they can do something is the most important thing for us. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Matt. And I think you are using these very special words. How do we inspire people? And I think it's very interesting what you share, that you try to inspire over 15 years of work to people, and especially in promoting social change, especially in the difficult circumstances that you were working on. And also about the work of fair play, which was acknowledged by the World Bank, which was acknowledged by Transparency International, which I think is quite important. Let us try to share one more time the song of Seal. Steph, if you want to try, or shall I try? You tell me.
When I was
Now
a child,
it's clear.
I was told that the world was mine. But that world has become a shadow of itself. And the stream of water we used to play in is now grimy.
Oil has spoiled everything. Nothing grows well. Nothing works fine. Work and work and work and work.
So farming has become a gambling business. Koch labors hard every day, but she knows chances are she could harvest nothing. It's a trend that has increased hunger and poverty here.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, no, yeah. Time to take a stand. The world all over, there's nothing too small. In time we all will see for sure. We played our part to make this world a better state. E quella che era neani, un poco di nasuki, kani weme kai chikama, o mere milita la punno kuechi. E quella che era neani, un poco di nasuki, kani weme kai chikama, o mere milita la punno kuechi. Teach the young to know they have a part. The earth is ours to plow, not to plunder. Teach them that she holds our reason, our flow. Let's not allow our habits put us asunder.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. You can stop sharing. Unfortunately, the screen is frozen, but this did not prevent us from hearing this beautiful song. Thank you very much, and thank you, Seal, for your sharing your art, and thank you, Matt, for also being an instrument to promote these kind of wonderful initiatives. Perhaps you can stop sharing your screen, Stephanie, and now I would like to give the floor to our dear colleague Veronica to also share her experience, to share the art that they are promoting through this initiative in BAC. And the floor is yours, Veronica.
Thank you very much. I think Stephanie will start the presentation. with our pictures. So let me first explain what you can see while I'm talking about our initiative. You see pictures or photographs from pupils in the age of 14 to 18 who took part in our project, our photography competition. Values and role models in front of the lens. And they have submitted the pictures already, but we have not a winner yet. With every picture, you can then also see an explanation on the background and the ideas behind. And these explanations are from the pupils themselves. So yeah, I hope you can see the pictures. So
you give us one second,
yeah.
Veronica. The presentation is coming now.
Okay, thanks.
But you can continue, perhaps explaining a bit more.
Well, then about our institution, about the Bureau of Anti-Corruption in Austria. So we are part of the Federal Ministry of the Interior, and the BAC has nationwide jurisdiction in the prevention of and the fight against corruption. So, which means that we are organizing trainings and workshops in whole Austria, and which also means that we are doing investigations there. The BAC currently consists of 4 units and our single point of contact, which is not only a contact point, but also a whistleblower contact. And our youngest department is the Investigation and Complaints Office for the allegation of police ill treatment, which has been in existence now for more than 1 year. But all the other departments, meaning corruption, investigation, prevention, and our department, resources, support, and legal affairs, are in charge for about 15 years. And I am part of the Department 1, meaning resources, support, and legal affairs. And you
Here we
might
have some of
wonder
the
why.
pics, yeah.
Now we have the presentation, yeah.
Yes, if you can go through some of the slides.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you might think the unit on a department on prevention might talk about this project, but we are doing it together. Yeah, you have to see it under the view of public relations. So youth work, teaching and raising awareness has been one of the focal points on our prevention work for almost a decade now. So BAC's various approaches in this area can be found under the umbrella Youth for Integrity. So we are organizing school events and school activities in this context. And with the school events, all classes of a school level come together, and after general introduction, they visit several stations like the corruption theater or the corruption scale. And we have also developed an app or a game for young people. But now a bit more about our photo competition. We began preparing this photo competition over a year ago by writing to schools of Lower Austria and Vienna that specialize in photography. So they were able to register for this competition on a class-by-class basis until September 2024. And we were able to win 5 classes, and there's over 90 pupils. And we started with a workshop organized in Luxembourg at the IACA. So thanks once more for the cooperation. On January the 28th, 2005. and representatives from the BAC, the IACA, Transparency International, provided information on dangerous forms and ways of combating corruption, as well as the key values in the prevention of corruption, such as integrity. So this was some kind of school event again, which we usually do in our BAC, but with special focus on values and on raising awareness for integrity. And we asked the pupils which values and role models are important to you and how can these be positively highlighted and emphasized. So, and then they started to work. They started to work with their teachers, and they had time until Easter for this creative process. And together, the teachers and the pupils, they created a lot of pictures and do a pre-selection and submitted finally 22 pictures you can see right now.
Thank you, Veronica. If you are continuing, but I would like to ask something, because really images sometimes can say more than words. And I believe that this sparked the ideas of the populace on how to express their feelings about this problem. So what is some of the feedback that you are receiving from the audience, from pupils, from the participants, Veronica?
Well, what we receive is, yeah, they were thinking a lot about this topic and about the values. Yeah, they had a workshop, and then they started with the creative phase, and they had to work on questions about values and role models, and there are several quotations in this field, and we confronted them with some of them, like with role models. It is unimportant whether it is a great dead poet, Mahatma Gandhi, or Uncle Fritz, or if it is only a person at a given moment said or did what we hesitate to do without batting an eyelid. That is one of them, and the pupils thought about it a lot, what a role model can really be and what are important values to them. So there is also another quotation, like it isn't hard to make decisions when you know your values. And they thought about this question, is that the case? Do the values influence our decisions, and are they a compass in our lives? And yeah, do the values and the alignment with them give our lives meaning? And I think they really worked on that and expressed all their feelings and emotions with their pictures.
Thank you very much, Veronica. This is very interesting, and I think this can also inspire our audience, because we have many people from law enforcement agencies, anti-corruption agencies, on how to promote the fight against corruption among civil society and also within the broader spectrum. Thank you very much, Veronica. Now I'd like to give the floor again to Seal, and I would like to ask a couple of questions to you, Seal. After watching and listening your song, I would like to ask you, in what forms can art be utilized to effectively combat corruption? Let's say beyond merely following trends, Seal.
I'd say in one simple term, from my perspective, what I have done is just express myself, express myself through art, right? So I think the best way is for an artist to reflect the times, and not only reflect the times, be in touch with what's happening, right? rather than being focused on just making music for money or for fame. Like, just be in touch with reality and what's happening, and then reflect it, and then speak to those issues. So that's like the most most effective way to impact, like make an impact through art. Just be in touch. Like, half the time what we find is that a lot of people are so focused on creating music and making money and blowing, in quotes,
Yeah,
and there's a lot of things happening around that they're so detached from because of fame and fortune. But for creatives, I would say just be in touch with what's happening and use that as a springboard for creativity than detachment. Yeah.
that's very nice, Sil. So you are saying be in touch with yourself, be in touch with people.
Yeah.
Perhaps you are saying also be true to yourself, not just looking
Yeah.
for success, for money, right? Thank you,
Yes.
Sil. Sil, can you share any
I
piece?
think also what I'm
Sorry,
saying is
go ahead. Yeah,
art is a powerful tool. Like, it should be a privilege to be a creative. So see that as a privilege than like some, stardom status. Or like,
that's very good to be an advocate and respect that position as an advocate. Thank you, Sil. Now, can you share any piece of advice to our audience on how to use their artistic expressions as a tool to fight corruption and make a change? Because we believe that everybody has a potential for art, for doing art. So, can you share any piece of advice to our audience, Sil, on how to use art to fight corruption?
yeah. So what are you good at? Right? That's the start point. What is the thing what is the thing that you consider creative about you? It could be writing, could be painting, could be singing. We all have different talents. So it starts with what you have first. And that's the simplest thing. Like, it starts with what you have first. So you're not looking for what you don't have, so you're going to leverage on what you have. My advice is, start with that thing that you think is very insignificant, you
Yeah,
think nobody cares about. Because when I think about it, the first song I ever wrote, I don't even think I was thinking about it going anywhere. It was just simple for me. I saw something and I wanted to do something about it. And I said, what do I have that I can use in a way that it can get to more people? And it was my music. So I went into the studio. The person who even produced the music wasn't even a producer. He was just as passionate as I was. And I got into the studio. And I remember it was October 1st, and we said we needed to put it out because that's the Independent Day celebration of Nigeria. And that was it. Like, we did everything to make that date, and we put it out and just let the universe do its thing. And yeah, that's as simple
this
as
is
it is.
very nice. Sil, you are mentioning a word that is very important, passion, because we believe that all of us have the potential to do art. But let us find, as you recommend, try to find what we are good at and what we like, and just be passionate about. Thank you very much, Sil. Now I'd like to go to Matt Clark, and the same questions, Matt, to you. If you can please tell us about the power of art and in which ways can we use it to fight corruption. Matt?
Great. Yeah, just to build on Sil was saying, and maybe some other reflections as you're saying it. I think that you can tell the power of art because also so many people fear it in power. If
That's
it was
fantastic.
not
Yeah.
powerful, then nobody would try and suppress it. And unfortunately, we see that there are a lot of efforts from those in power, those who are afraid of the power of art, that they are trying to stop it. So its power, I think it's undeniable. Yeah, just to give some context to what I'm saying, there is unfortunately a growing risk of freedom of expression. So it's now the time. Passion, it's a very important word. I agree, but courage, it's another very important word in the times that we are living in, because in order to make this kind of art that addresses societal issues, you have to be courageous. And if you look at the Free Muse report from last year, there was more than 300 artists who faced quite severe harassment, censorship, or
Yes.
imprisonment even. So I think that while we celebrate the power that art can have, it has also this the power to change things, but also we need to ensure that we are courageous and also, let's say, aware that of this power and the power we have in our hands. So when we take that power on, like artists like Sil, Rain in Sahara, Nassim, and all of our different Fair Play ambassadors, there is also a lot of courage that they are taking. So I encourage anybody who's going down this road, find your passion, and then also don't be scared to be courageous. Faith Musa, who's one of our ambassadors from Malawi, we asked him as well. His songs were censored from the radio when he criticized the Malawian government. He had even some death threats and things like that. And he said, how does he continue? And he was saying that it's through initiatives like Fair Play, like platforms like the IACC, that he finds solidarity with the international anti-corruption community. So I'd say being in this space today with many people who are in this fight, whether you're in law enforcement, in government, whether you're in civil society, whether you're an artist, we all of us who are fighting this good fight need to be together, and that helps us to be a little bit more courageous, because it's always we get by with a little help from our friends, as they say, as the song goes.
Excellent. Yes, totally. Thank you, Mark, because you're saying that we need to speak up against corruption, and that takes courage. And that's a very important word. We spoke about passion, but also about courage. And this is an expression, a way of expression that creates fear among politicians, among the prospective corrupt people. So this is quite encouraging. And also it takes courage, the work that you are doing, Matt, because you are inspiring artists to come to the front and talk about corruption. So what advice will you give to others to use art as a tool to fight corruption and make a change, Matt?
I think it's really important that artists share their stories. For me, this is the most important, and it feeds into what Sil was saying, that she just she felt it and she expressed it. This is all you can do as a human being, is express yourself, express your frustrations. And the role of artists in society as storytellers, this is really important, because not everyone has maybe this ability or feels that they can express. Everybody has different strengths. But artists, if you feel that you are a storyteller, whether you're telling it through written art, through theater, through whatever, tell stories of your communities. We sometimes on the global level, it's all of these issues seem abstract, but in fact they're not abstract. They're very concrete. Everything that we are doing, it's from a community level, and we find community with those facing the same issues. So if we are speaking as artists, as storytellers on behalf of our community, and we're telling stories that resonate, that's how we build community around these issues, and it becomes a really real thing. So I can only agree with Sil to say, just do it, just start, try it. And I think everybody here knows, whether if you've done a one drawing or something, the more you do, the better you get. And that's how art works, and that's how music and everything works. If you keep going, if you keep finding passion, you'll find a way to express yourself. And it's not about big or small. We all start small.
Totally.
So and those who keep going, those who don't give up, those who find their voice and keep expressing and keep going, they are the ones who will make a bigger and bigger impact. So for me, with all of this work, whether you're getting recognition or not for it, just keep going, keep telling your stories, keep sharing your stories. And this is really, and then hopefully organizations like ours will one day discover you, pick you up, and be able to give you another platform. But there are many of us in this sector who are doing this work to amplify the voices of artists, to amplify the voices of the change makers, to give them new platforms, to give them insight and knowledge and connect. And this is, I think, the role that we are trying to play. It's how can we amplify those voices that are often not heard in the mainstream, that are often not heard or not wanting to be heard. So I think we all have a role to play, and this is at Fair Play, this is our role to give it a bigger platform for those voices to be heard.
Thank you, Matt. And I think this is quite important. Sil said just express what you have inside, and do it with your artistic way of saying things. And you say just tell the stories, but I would say also tell the stories in a creative way, as you just presented, with music, with films, with books, with whatever, with images, as now Veronica will say. Thank you very much, Matt. Now let us go to Veronica. And Veronica, if you can please tell us a bit more about this photo contest, and also the feedback that you are getting from people. If you can delve a bit more into the values and role models for the competition of the Federal Bureau of Anti-Corruption.
Yeah, well, about our competition, you have already seen the pictures, and what's going on right now is that our jury will come together, and the jury is composed of 3 people. Elfie Simmerton, she is an Austrian artist, and Bianca Kopp, you might know her from UNODC.
Yes,
she coordinates the GRACE initiative there. And Bianca Knötzl from TI Austrian chapter. And they will take a look at all these pictures, and yeah, they will find out who's the winner. They have criteria they have go through that are creativity and originality. So they think about the idea, the content related engagement with the topic. They have to think about the message and the theme, the concept, the realization, and even the age appropriate implementation. So they are all pupils, they are all really young.
Yeah.
So you have to think about that as well. And finally, the artistic presentation. And yeah, we are looking forward the winner. And we have we had already an exhibition. It was some kind of a preview at the Anti-Corruption Day in Austria from the 24th till 25th of April. And the participants there, they really love this exhibition. But we have to mention that these our participants come from the field of compliance. You might also know the Austrian Integrity Network. Most of them are part of this network. They are from federal governments, ministries, federal state governments, communities, townships, and they discussed a lot about our pictures or the pupils' pictures. And we will have a further exhibition on the 11th of June, and there we will also have the award ceremony. And finally, will not be finally, but we will also have an exhibition at the Unicity when the working group on prevention will take place. So perhaps some of you can see the picture there in the reality, and the pictures will travel around the world. You might see them at the COSP in Qatar in December. Yeah.
I think it's important, Veronica, that this is not only staying here in Austria, that goes beyond, and because images, they speak for themselves. They don't speak languages, they are images that are expressing ideas. So we ask you please to share this also globally in your website, so also our colleagues in the audience can take a look at the photos later on. Thank you, Veronica. So in our audience, we have anti-corruption or corruption fighters. And we know that the fight against corruption can involve significant risks. It is often a lonely path. And as just Matt said, we also understand that artists can be affected as well. For example, I can tell a personal story. I know the artist Teresa Margolles that whose photograph we showed at the beginning, and I am aware of the risks that she faces in Mexico for denouncing impunity through her art, especially coming from the drug cartels. In this regard, I would like to ask our three panelists to answer in few words the following question. And now I would like to start with Veronica. What are the challenges faced by artists who delve into the issue of corruption? And how would you suggest addressing them, Veronica? If you have any ideas or thoughts about it, please.
Well, I have to mention, well, the dangers in Austria are not that awful than in Mexico. So our pupils, our artists face different situations. But by the time when we designed this competition, we quickly realized that we shouldn't let these pupils alone with the topic. So thinking about corruption alone is not what we wanted. We wanted to support them. And we thought that perhaps if they would stay alone, that they would get stuck in the mire of corruption, or perhaps become too preoccupied and with the negative aspects, and fall in the feeling of powerlessness. And that's not that what we wanted. We wanted them to think about values and how important they are in their lives, and just to give them power and to stand for their opinion and for integrity. So that's why we did this workshop together, and we worked on these values, and the teachers supported us as well. And I think the pupils really discussed this topic, and I think they also discussed the dangers of corruption. But I hope that they also found a solution to get through it, and to have a positive way and a positive thinking. And I think if you look at the pictures, I think they managed that.
That's very important point, Veronica, and I thank you very much, because you are saying that you are not just giving these pupils the voice to talk about corruption, but also the tools. It's not just sparking the ideas and incentivizing, talking about or doing something like images, taking photos about corruption, but also telling them what can they do about the problem, so they don't feel alone, so that they feel also empowered. And I think this is a very important point. Now I'd like to give the floor to Matt. And Matt, if you can tell us what are the challenges and also some of the tips that you can give to artists that can want to do something against the problem.
Great, thanks. I think, as Veronica mentioned, it really depends country to country. It's very different, the situation that artists face. You know, in certain countries, it's almost impossible to voice your opinion with a lengthy jail sentence attached. Then you have the kind of medium risk countries where most of our artists are working, where there is, of course, some penalties. We've had a situation with one of our Colombian ambassadors, the band Hage Que Pase, the lead singer, Jote Ramos, who has spoken up a lot against yes, not only the corruption of the government, but certain syndicates that are working in their area that are doing environmental damage. And he's been quite for some years targeted. He had to flee Colombia, I think around, when was it, 2017, 2018. He was in an Amnesty International protection program in Spain. He returned to Colombia, and I think now it's about 2 years ago, he was Colombian police planted drugs in his car when he was gone. He was arrested. He was under house arrest for a year. He fought against this case with tooth and nail. It was a horrendous situation, and eventually proved his freedom, and the case was thrown out of court. But this took a year and a half of his life. So it's really quite a toll on some of the artists. What we see as well, what many of the artists in our network reflect, is that sometimes this fear, even though maybe there is not something happening, this fear often leads to self-censorship. So maybe there has not been concrete things that have happened in the country, but there is that feeling of, oh, I don't want to rock the boat, or it might jeopardize my career, those kind of things. So we see that it's again, it's really courageous, and I really have to applaud all artists, especially our ambassadors, but all artists who are speaking out. It's a really courageous act to do it, because they're even just overcoming that level of self-censorship to share issues that are painful. Yeah, it's of course it can come with a price. So these are some examples that we've seen, but most of the time, in the case of Jota from Hage Kepase, he had the support of our network. The different art fair play artists made songs of support. They made videos. We as JM International, Transparency International, wrote letters of support. Other international bodies wrote support. Local anti-corruption organizations in Colombia, as well as lawyers, all supported their work. So artists have to know that there are others who can support you, and that if you are brave enough to do this, there are those who will fight as well on your behalf. And as we saw now, they won in the end. They won the case. It was thrown out of court. They are still making music. Jota is touring now, telling the story. So voila, I think it has only strengthened him, all these efforts of repression. So I think it's good that we are all aware in the industry. For example, the Free Music Report from 2019 to 2022, I think, reported a 300% increase in government censorship worldwide. So as I mentioned, there is a trend, and that means that we as a community have to support the artists. They cannot do it themselves.
Strong,
yeah, we need to stand strong together with them and educate them as to what are their rights. If a certain situation is happening, what are the steps you can take? And that's what we try to do within the network. We run several boot camps at IACC for the artists who are selected, and we try and make them aware of their rights. We bring in other institutions who are working to support the rights of individuals and artists who are in the fight against corruption. So together we can make a difference, and there is a lot of hope. And what we've seen is that when people do resist, often we're able to overcome.
Thank you very much, Matt. And I think we need to emphasize this to all corruption fighters, that you are not alone. There are organizations like Matt's organization, also Amnesty International, and other organizations. We see it in our alumni network that corruption fighters always come together and support each other. So this is something that we need to spread this message to the audience. Now I would like to give the floor to Sil, and Sil, if you can tell us a bit about the challenges that artists face in fighting corruption, and how will you address them?
Thank you, Martin. So they're quite a number, but I think I'll just focus on two. So first, there's some sort of censorship. In I'm Nigerian, and so we have this very big Afrobeat culture, where the kind of music that the radio stations will play are music that is quite more about on the entertainment side. So if you bring something that is too deep, maybe, or touches on on these issues, they don't want any issues with the NBC, like the regulatory agency. So they will not play your music. Just know that for a fact. Like, don't even bother. Your best bet is social media, and even social media sometimes censors, some of these things with the whole, fake news and all of that. So it's quite a challenge. Like, it's almost like swimming against the tides, trying to like push through the tides. It's quite overwhelming sometimes. But one thing that has helped with that is, I remember the first time that I got on an interview in a radio station for this kind of music was during the Voice to Rep project. For some reason, maybe because there was an organization involved, and they were able to like talk about the project a little bit, and then they got us on the radio station. And even at that, during the interview, it wasn't like, it was very surface level, but that helped. So I'm just saying that to say that some of the ways to go around it is to like partner, like Matt said, with organizations like community that build a community that is able to kind of like with wisdom navigate issues like this. Like you have to, it has to be wisdom, like literally.
Yeah.
And another challenge that I've lost my train of thought. Another challenge that I wanted to talk about was, yeah, funding and funding and support, right?
Mhm.
It's already difficult, like on the average releasing love songs and any other kind of music is difficult, like it requires a lot of funding. Now imagine putting out something that ordinarily is not
Yes.
is not like the mainstream music, so you are literally just on your own. Like,
You'll be
so
an outcast. Yeah.
yeah, on your own, so that people are like, I've heard people say, oh, still is doing music like nobody understands.
Like
I'm like,
protest
okay.
music. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Like, but with, like, if you noticed, this last project that I put out had like funding from um the Ford Foundation via Accountability Lab, and so that like helped a lot. Like platforms like Fair Play, for example. I remember the first time I came across the Fair Play announcement. I think it was 2020, and it was like deep in during the lockdown. And I think I was really, really, really shocked that there was something like that somewhere else in the world that had any interest in the kind of music that I did. Like it was so refreshing because
Yeah.
at the time I already had this mindset like I'm on my own and this journey, and then seeing that just like uplifted my spirit. So finding organizations and platforms that I think we need more of that. We need more of community, and we need more organizations and people who will take it upon themselves, because we are the front liners, right? But
Yeah.
we need like people in the like music business who are going to support us as well. So saying that with Fair Play and the Voice to Rare project was very encouraging. And I would encourage anyone who is like me, who thinks that they're on a lonely path, to just not give up or give in, because you don't really know, what lies ahead until you keep going. And if you give up, you would never know.
This is very good point, Sil, and I thank you because in this globalized world that we live today, it's not very difficult to find like-minded people and also organizations promoting art. And it's not
Yeah.
only about music. I know about organizations funding uh, painters, also writers. There are funds and there are people who are interested in funding
Yeah.
these kind of brave people trying to spread a message that is different to the light message of only we know feeling good, feeling well, but also saying something, against corruption, which is fantastic. Thank you very much, Seal. Let us now open the floor to some Q&A. Stephanie, I don't know if we have any questions from the audience. We can
Mhm.
perhaps take 2 or 3 questions very quickly.
Yes. So the first question we have is from Rose Nagyoy, and she asked, for you both as artists, musician, are you facing challenges when publishing your music? From a small background of African leaders, their power is full of corruption, like like your experience at one of the elections in Nigeria. What do you do to overcome these challenges?
I think Seal already mentioned, but I don't know
Yeah.
if you want to add something else, Seal, about it, or Matt, adding few words, because I think we already addressed this point.
Yeah, I think pretty much is the same thing we've
Yeah.
said. Yeah.
Just in terms of publishing, maybe that this is one of the benefits now of our kind of globalized music economy. There are services now that allow musicians to publish it widely and get it distributed across all platforms without there being gatekeepers on that level. Of
That's a very
course,
good
when it
point.
comes to media, when it comes to radio, when it comes to getting it widely distributed, that's where there are still barriers, and that's where there is potentially a role to play for civic societies to support the artists, and like Sil was mentioning, to provide spaces there to connect them with different areas, at least in the music industry. We see, yes, that it's easy to release, but in order to reach a wider audience, we do need greater support.
But still, we can see, Matt, that you have what they call now viral videos that you can just upload yourself. And we hope that after this event, Seal's song will go viral, spreading the good message that she's promoting now. Thank you. Another question, Steph?
Yes, I have another question for Sil from Michelle Livian Gonzalez. So he asks, as a lawyer, do you run into a lot of cynicism? Do people in your life, especially other lawyers, question or doubt how effective your art is in fighting corruption?
Wow,
Lawyers.
that's an interesting question.
Michelle, what question you're making? Thank you,
It's a
Michelle.
very specific question. I wouldn't say lawyers because I don't actually practice as a lawyer. I just have the background and the like degree. So I don't really interact with lawyers, but I would say family, like I didn't get as much support even with doing music. And my dad used to say like every time there's a protest happening in Lagos, he'll call me and say, I hope you're not going. I hope you're not going for that protest. And I'm like, you already know. So there's always that fear. It's like, what is she doing? What's she doing with her time? Why is she doing this kind of music? But like, it's not to the point where they say don't do that anymore. It's like, okay, we know you're doing this, just be careful. And obviously, with the progress that you make, it's easier for people to see that you know what you're doing and you're not just like moving around in circles. So that's what I'll say.
Thank you to Michelle for this question. And Michelle, we're all lawyers here. Some of us are lawyers, and we're trying to spread a good message and to promote arts as well. So we have also here some good examples. One more question, Steph, and we'll
Yes.
finish.
So I have one further question also from Michelle. So this is for Veronica. So are the photographs available under a Creative Commons or similar license to be used locally for dissemination and educational purposes,
That's a very
perhaps
good
after
question.
the competition has ended? Or
Wow, that's a quite interesting question. We have the rights for the pictures for our competition authority, and we have the right to have them on our website and even on our social media accounts. Yes, but for further rights, I have to ask our lawyers in our competition authority. I have to fear, but I think we can. Yeah, I
Veronica,
can give
perhaps
you
you
the
can
answer.
inspire the lawyers in the bureau and tell
Yeah,
them
sure.
that we have an audience asking now for material that we can share also in our presentations, in our events. So that will be nice.
Okay.
and
Sorry for putting you in the spotlight. Go ahead, Steph.
and Sil, also, is your song available under this similar license to be used locally for dissemination and educational purposes?
I have to look into that actually.
Mm,
I don't think there are any restrictions, but I have to look into that and be sure.
great.
But if anyone
Just
wants to like, use it, you can just write me and I'll give you the rights.
Yeah, just to add on those for the artists and everyone involved, all you would need to do is sign up the song for a Creative Commons license. So if you just Google Creative Commons, and you would just need to probably get them to additionally agree to the Creative Commons license, and then it can be widely shared. When it comes to using music, I think TikTok has changed the way society works, because now it's quite common that everybody uses the songs of almost any artist in their videos, and it's registered on TikTok, even on YouTube. And TikTok and YouTube automatically identify the artists, and they will get revenue based on that. So it's still a little bit gray. You didn't, if you get in trouble, you didn't hear it from me, but we see that this is much more common practice now, that if your music is on one of those platforms already and you are using it in that context, normally nobody will make a big fuss. If you're licensing it for commercial use, that's of course a different story. But normally, if it's for non-commercial use and you do accredit the artist, normally there's not a problem. But the safest way, like Sil said, if you want to use her music, rather take contact with her directly. And voila. And
That's very
just while I've got the mic, just for for the lawyers out there who maybe need some statistics to convince their their friends and families, that there was a UNESCO report in 2018 that showed that cultural engagement increases civic activism to 1.6 times what it was. And there was another ICT Africa study in 2020 that showed 74% of young people aged 18 to 35 in Africa were surveyed, said that music has influenced their political opinions. 61 saying it motivated them to act or protest. So there are quite a few studies like this out there, even around specifically music videos and protest songs. So it's always good that we have our stories and our narratives, and that we support them with the facts, because the facts are there. And I think anybody here who's listened to Bob Marley can tell you that he's affected the way that you think about life and about
Totally.
fairness and justice. So
Redemption
I
song,
think
huh?
there we go.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you very much. I think I'm already inspired. I feel like going home and taking my guitar and write a song. So thank you very much, Matt, Sil, and Veronica. Would like to thank our panelists for their inspiring words and stories. We would also like to thank our dear audience for joining us today in this webinar. I would like to give the floor to Matt, Sil, and Veronica just to say goodbye to our audience in few words. Just to say goodbye and close this webinar. And I will start now with Sil.
It was nice sharing my story, and I also learned from everyone on this panel, even Martin. Yeah, so be inspired to do something, no matter how little you think you have, it can be something big. So go for
Thank
it.
you very much, Sil. Now I'd like to give the floor to Veronica.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the possibility to talk about our contest, and I hope that the pictures from our pupils, they inspire you as well.
Thank you, Veronica. Matt?
Thank you so much to IACA for the invite. Thanks to my fellow panelists, and thanks to all the audience. We had a lot of people here,
Yes.
so thank you for everyone who took the time to listen. If you want to connect with me, you can do so on LinkedIn, and you can follow Fair Play on anticorruptionmusic.org and connect with all of the wonderful artists that we have. Please support them.
Yes.
They are doing fantastic work. So you can find out more on anticorruptionmusic.org.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you. Now I would like to especially thank Stephanie Beard for her initiative behind this event and the topic, and for being the driving force that made this happen. Thank you, Stephanie. Congratulations for all of this. And we'll also like to thank our friend Bill Page for his support during the conceptual phase. Thank you, Bill. Now I'll turn it over to Stephanie for the closing of the event. Thank you very much, colleagues.
Thank you very much. We very much appreciate your support, collaboration, and attendance. So the recording will be available on IACA's website in the coming days, and we will take a quick group photo as we're at the end of the session, if this is okay. We'll just take one more. Great. Thank you very much, and wish you all a wonderful day.
Thank you all. Have a good rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.